Alright, gang, that was Make Me Laugh by Anthrax, and I thought that'd be a perfect little segue to bring us into our next guest here inside the Asylum. Joining me for my 4-year anniversary, he know him best as Steve Nugent from the new TV hit series Legit, which will be seen on FXX coming up in January for their second season. None other than Dan Bakkedahl. How you doing, dude?
I'm good, man. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining me here inside the Asylum. And first things first, congratulations to you and Jim and DJ and everyone involved with Legit on the second season.
Yeah, thanks, man. We're very excited. It's they actually pushed us now. We're going to be premiering, it looks like February 24th. Looks like our date now on FXX.
Awesome. All right, so they're adding to the delay, the hype, if you will, of season 2.
Yeah, exactly.
Very cool, man. But hey, that's all good. We don't mind waiting. I was just watching some of the season 1 over the weekend, and as I watch it, I can't help but wonder how many accidents were there with DJ with the chair. I mean, I've been in the chair all my life, but I've wondered how many accidental foot running overs or side bumps you guys have gone through in season 1.
Dude. It's funny, it's a great perspective because DJ is the only one who truly understands that because he's in the chair all day. But yeah, man, it's a lot of people wouldn't even think of that, but it is the kind of thing when someone new comes on the show and we have a guest star or something, we have to say, watch your toes, watch your toes. I'm not fucking kidding. This thing weighs 600 pounds. You know, people tend to go, yeah, my toes. And you go, all right, you stand there and get run over by this thing. And DJ has single-handedly torn that house apart with that chair, learning how to navigate. Now, he's really good at it now. But that first season, man, he broke the cup holder off, and he was bumping into stuff all the time.
Oh, wow. I mean, the funny thing is I know where he's coming from only because I just got a new wheelchair myself, and it's similar to the style that DJ uses on the show, and it's a different driving style than I'm used to, and I've been banging into things here inside my place a little more often than usual. So I can only imagine what season 1 must have been like. And the other issue that I wanted to get your take on, because I spoke with Jim Jeffries about it over Twitter, was some of the bullshit that you guys were getting in regards to the way the show went because of DJ's character, Billy, being disabled. I know you guys were getting a lot of unwarranted hate mail, per se. And I was just wondering if that's continued or if it's slowed down, or have you guys even maybe used it as fuel during the episodes?
You know, what's funny is that I think at the beginning we were afraid we were going to get a lot of mail because we thought that maybe some people would misunderstand what the intent was behind the character, which obviously is an homage to a dear friend of Jim's, who is still doing well, I guess. But he was the guy that was portrayed in that very first episode. So the fear was that there would be a lot of backlash. I honestly have not seen much. The little bit that I've seen is maybe from an actor with MD who might say, hey, why didn't you hire an actual actor who actually had the condition rather than hiring an actor and putting them in the chair? But I haven't seen a lot of heat other than that. You know, if there has been more, I haven't been privy to it. But then again, they don't inform me of everything that goes on around there.
Right. No, I understand. I know. As someone with a disability, and I know several others with various forms of muscular dystrophy, I can say the show is a big hit with all of us. We've seen some of the negative. Ironically enough, I think I may have been the one that approached Jim on Twitter about why it wasn't a disabled actor portraying the role when he explained yeah, he explained to me that it was that there was a union role, and without getting into detail here with you, it was I understood where he was coming from. He understood where I was coming from. But I think the main thing is you guys do a great job at portraying Billy's character as a person first and disabled second. And I think that's one of the biggest.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that.
Absolutely, man. I think, and I'm sorry to cut you off there, but it's one of those things that I don't know what the emotion would be that it connects for me immediately. But when you say that, I'm very grateful that that's the way it comes across, because that is the intention. At no point was it meant to be disrespectful. It was always meant to be, look, Jim has a friend, and the friend asked, will you help me get laid? I've never been laid. And the answer was, well, obviously, dude. I mean, everybody wants to get laid. Why should you be denied that opportunity? Let's go. When? Right now. Let's go. And the same holds for everything. And the interesting thing, too, I think in season 1, it began to show itself. And I think in season 2, it shows even more that Billy begins to be even more of a person who's a member of the household who has an opinion, who says, no, dude, I want to do this. And we all go, fuck, I don't want to do that. It's not, oh, well, the kid in the wheelchair wants to do this. We better do what he wants to do. It's, no, fuck you, Billy. We're not doing that today. And I really like that, too. He has an opinion, and his opinion gets shot down just like anybody else in the house.
Right. I mean, and that's how it is in the real world. Unfortunately, over the years with TV, a lot of disabled characters have been portrayed as kind of like the add-on character, not even a tertiary character, but more like a fourth-level background character. And what I love about the show is I see a lot of myself and my friends from college, and even my friends now. Matter of fact, the episode where you guys go to the baseball game, and the line of course is, you're only bringing me here because you want to sit in the handicap seating. And I cannot tell you how many times I've taken someone with me to a show, and they're like, we're always going to a show with you. You get the better seats.
Yeah. And I think that the thing is, there's that honesty, and there's also that thing of, no matter what condition your friend is in, you're going to give your friend shit. You're going to bust your friend's balls. Your friend gets a shitty haircut, you're going to make fun of him for his haircut. His girlfriend is ugly, you're going to make fun of him for his girlfriend. Whatever the thing is, when it comes to friends, nothing is out of bounds. So, in this second season, my character, you saw at the end of season 1, Steve is losing his wife, Steve is losing his kid, and it's a very emotional and difficult thing. And the first thing out of Jim's mouth is, hey, they don't have, let's go to Apple Pan, which is a burger place, And Steve says, I don't know, man. And he goes, hey, they don't have Apple Pan in Cincinnati. He's giving Steve shit. As soon as the guy's hurt, Jim's giving him a hard time, because that's what buddies do. He loves him, he supports him, but he's giving him a hard time. And Billy's no different when it comes to that, We'll give him a hard time all the time. Walking down the sidewalk, come on, keep up, Billy. I feel like it's the most unique relationship that television's ever seen, because it is played on a completely equal playing field emotionally.
Oh, absolutely. It also, opens eyes. I can't tell you how many times I've been out in public, and I'll use and I have no hesitation in using the word cripple. I'll come out and say to someone, listen, we're going to go somewhere. Is it cripple friendly? And people around me looking go, did he just say what I think he said?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you guys just take that to the next level. And, I mean, that's something...
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
that's the kind of thing that... I feel like a person that doesn't have a friend who's handicapped or disabled or in a chair or, whatever, is not going to is not going to walk around saying those words like cripple for fun or to tease someone, because you got to have that relationship with the person in order to get the permission to give them shit for their glaring thing. Just as much as Jim. How many times did Jim call me bald, fat, spoon face? You know, over and over, and it's just even more in the second season, and my character's hurting so much more in the second season. And it's, come on, you fat baldy, you know, nothing's off base, you know.
Yeah, and that's how it should be. And what comes across too is you guys, I can only imagine what you guys put each other through off camera. If you're able to just so easily bond and give each other shit, you know, on camera when it's rolling, that your chemistry off camera must be amazing.
Yeah, we've developed a brotherhood. It happened really quickly, you know. We shot that pilot up in Portland, and we were in Portland just before Thanksgiving, so it was rainy and gloomy. None of us knew each other. And Jim, on the first day, said, come on, let's go to lunch. And I said, all right. And he bought my lunch. He goes, that's the least I can do is buy your lunch. And I thought, either he's putting on a really good front of being this generous, kind guy, or he is this generous, kind guy. Now, knowing the story of his friend and the brothel and all that, I kind of suspected that he was a true-hearted person, you know, the kind of guy that would go a million miles for a friend. But we didn't know each other yet, you know. Jim did a great job of establishing with both DJ and I right off the bat, listen, we're going to be in our underwear, we're going to be wiping each other's ass, we're going to be in this smelly little house together. We better get to be friends immediately. And it happened, you know. Part of that is the genius of the you know, production process, and part of that is just the genuine nature of the personalities of the people involved, that we connected right away. And now we're to the point where we fight like brothers, you know. Fuck you, quit being a baby, get out of my face, go away. I said go away. And 2 minutes later, it's like, listen, man, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to upset you. I was, you know, it's like brothers.
That's just great, because, like I said, it comes across on camera, and that, I think, speaks volumes to the type of show it is, because, yeah, it is a buddies, brotherly type of show, and it's important that it works that way off camera, because then it really shows it on camera. And I mean, you can definitely see that the bond is there. I mean, you know, I'm sure there are some people that probably go, well, maybe they do live together in that shit house all year long.
Yeah. It's pretty close. You know, we get together all the time, you know, during the off season while they were writing season 2. You know, DJ and I would get phone calls 2 or 3 times a week from Jim, and he'd be like, you got to hear this storyline, man. I came up with this great thing for you. That doesn't happen on a lot of shows. First of all, that the creator and star is being generous enough to give good bits to the supporting actors. You know, usually it's, all right, you guys support me, I'm going to have the good bits, and you guys will come along for the ride. But it's like he's coming up with these fantastic storylines for us, giving us storylines that are from his actual family, his actual experience, but making it about our family, you know.
That's really awesome. I mean, I think one of the great ones in season 1 was when you guys took Ramona's son for the day to the beach, and on the way back, your character, Steve, finds out that your ex-wife was sleeping with your neighbor whose car you're using, and you just go on this tirade.
Yep.
And I mean,
we have some good stuff. We have some good stuff like that this year. We shot a class reunion episode. You know, Jim, in the world of the show, Jim was an exchange student, and that's how he got to know the Nugent family. Was he stayed with us in high school, and that's from Jim's real life. He was an exchange student when he was in high school, and so we have a class reunion, of course, and we go back, and everybody's excited to see Jim because he's this big stand-up, and nobody even remembers Steve. So Steve has this meltdown. My ex-wife is there. That's where I met her. Was in high school. she's there with, and everyone thinks she looks great. Doesn't she look great? And Steve is getting fat and bald and old, and he gets wasted and has this, blowout, and it's really monumental. It's pretty crazy stuff.
I hope is it as good or better a blowout from Steve than the last episode of season 1 where Steve got drunk during the baby shower and kind of fell apart?
Yeah, I think the Steve at the baby shower was kind of almost happy drunk compared to what starts to happen in season 2. What we're going to shoot on Monday is basically the bottom of the barrel for Steve. It's Steve winds up in his underwear walking down Pacific Coast Highway, in the early morning rush hour. People are going to work, and Steve's hungover from the night before in his underwear walking down the highway. That's how bad it gets for Steve.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I can't wait to see. I am very excited for season 2, and I was, when I heard you guys got it, I was thrilled because I'm a fan. Obviously, I get it from another level because of the disability, and I know there are some people without disabilities that are just loving the show as well, and it works on so many levels. I'm really glad to hear that you guys got a season 2, and I want to turn a little bit because there's one thing some people don't know about you and might not get from Steve on Legit is that you, my friend, are a fellow rock and metalhead.
Yeah. Yeah, I tried to get that in there in that Hoarders episode. They were like, all right, and then you're going through your records, and Jim knew that I was a metalhead. And he was like, yeah, you could say Dawkins. He said Dawkins. And I said, it's Dawkins. Rhymes with rockin'. And he goes, well, whatever. You could say Dawkins or your Iron Maidens or whatever. And I said, there's just one Iron Maiden. It's singular. So when we were shooting that, I did my best to try to throw in a couple of bands, specific bands that I knew friends of mine from back home would get a kick out of. My friend Dan Knippel was a big Faster Pussycat fan. So when Jim throws that record over the fence, I said, hey, that's my Faster Pussycat. That was absolutely a nod to my buddy Dan. So I'm always trying to, throw in something there personal. Yeah, the more personal it is, the more realistic it comes across,
Oh, for sure. I'm actually surprised that Jim isn't more familiar with Iron Maiden. Granted, he as a child was an exchange student here in the U.S., but Maiden was so big all over the world that I'm kind of surprised that he wasn't aware of them.
Oh, he's aware of them, but he just, didn't listen to him. You don't know the difference between a Judas Priest and an Iron Maiden or a Death Row Tull, because you go, oh, they're all kind of guys' names. And it's like, geez, these bands can be more different,
Oh, for sure. Hell, in some parts of the world, if you say Iron Maiden, sounds like Judas Priest, it'll start World War III.
Yeah, no kidding. I just went, about 2 months ago, I went out, they had a concert out here called the Battle of San Bernardino, and it was Iron Maiden headlining with Megadeth, Anthrax, Testament, Overkill, and then a couple of local bands, as well as a Swedish band that Steve Harris from Iron Maiden is real hot on. So he always tries to give someone a shot to go on the road with them. And dude, it was the best concert I've been to in decades. I gotta say, Megadeth, I'd given up on them 15, 20 years ago, but live, they were phenomenal. They were so good.
Yeah, I had just seen them this summer on Gigantor. It's literally been the 4th time in a row that I've seen them since the Big Four at Yankee Stadium, and I don't know what it is, but it's been 4 times that I've seen them in a row, and it seems like they're just getting better, and where they are in the stage of the game, you would think it would be going the other way, but yet here they are really picking it up.
Yeah, they're so tight. I couldn't believe they played Hangar 18 and Holy Wars, both off of Rust in Peace. And both of those songs have such dramatic starts and stops, you know, where it just goes and kicks back in. And there was no lag. Nobody was behind. They were so tight. You know, you think bands like that play fast would eventually begin to slow down, and they seem to have sped up. Whereas Iron Maiden, if you listen to some of the tracks off of Live After Death, they're faster than they were on, say, Peace of Mind or Killers or any of those albums. The live track is faster. Well, now the track is slower. Their live show is slower than it was on the original album now, almost. Like, they've begun to slow down a little bit. And granted, those guys are older than Megadeth, you know, but I still feel like they should have been able to keep up that speed. I felt like that night I went there to see Iron Maiden, and I walked away with a newfound love for Megadeth, and I went out and bought 3 of their albums that I didn't have anymore because I had them on cassette.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's how long ago it had been since I had listened to them.
That's wild. You gotta check out. Megadeth just put out a live album from their Countdown to Extinction tour from last fall. They did the entire album from beginning to end. I was at the date here in the New York, New Jersey area in Atlantic City, and to hear some of those songs live that you don't normally would hear live, you know, Captive Honor and Psychotron, and it was like,
yeah, exactly,
you know, and it's just like, wow, you know, there were so many deep tracks. I think more bands need to delve into that.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting thing, that playing the whole album thing. It seems like that started, you know, obviously the Who would have done that kind of thing in the 60s and 70s, or the 70s anyway, with albums like Quadrophenia and Tommy. But, you know, I remember the first time I saw that, I saw Queensryche do Operation Mindcrime.
Oh, great album.
It was right around the time of the Building Empires tour. So they had hits on their new album that they, you know, had to squeeze in, but they played the entire Operation Mindcrime and then, you know, bookended it with, you know, Queen of the Reich and Silent Lucidity and things off of the other albums. But I remember seeing that and thinking, not many bands are going to be able to do this and make it worth watching, you know, because that was a concept album, so it felt like it made more sense. But when I heard that these guys, that Megadeth was doing that with the Countdown for Extinction tour, I thought, you know what? You know, albums are put together the way they're put together. The lead track is a lead track for a reason. And the number one track on side 2, back when there was a side 2, was the number one track on side 2 for a reason. You know? And to see it live, you're going to get a flow, an ebb and flow of energy, of music and styles and forms and all that, you know, you rarely get nowadays, because you're not going to sit down and listen to a whole album.
Well, I think, I mean, I'm 33, so I remember cassette, and you are right. There was a time when a side 2 first track made a difference, because bands wanted you to be able to take the album, flip it over, press play, and want to keep it going the entire time, instead of just saying, you know what, side 1 was better, and that's all you ever listen to.
Yeah, if you go back and look at, now I'm going back to my high school days now, but like Appetite for Destruction, for example, I always remember thinking, you know, Paradise City was such a kick-ass song, you know, and I believe that's last track, side 1. And then My Michelle was first track, side 2. And then there was a few songs, or no, maybe it was, anyway, I think I got that mixed up, but I know My Michelle was first track, side 2. And I remember thinking that was a killer song, and then there were a few songs on side 2 that you kind of felt like, yeah, I mean, I don't really need Anything Goes. I don't really need You're Crazy. I like the acoustic version that they did on Live better.
Yes.
But now go back and listen to it as a full album, you know, as I would have done back then, and I can see the sense in it. You know, it's all kind of ramping up to close the game with what's that fucking one? The not Cover Queen. That's Tesla.
Oh,
what was that?
Oh yeah. Oh, look at this. I'm spacing on it too, and I know that album so well.
If I were in a car right now, I'd just look it up. I'm driving, so I can't look it up. But
I can. I just have.
Rocket Queen.
There you go. Like I say,
yeah.
I was going to look it up. Go ahead.
Yeah, that was the most underrated song on that album. And it was buried at the end of the album. And it's almost like they put it in that position. Now, what the hell do I know? But it's almost like they put it in that position to say, if you're a fan, you're going to listen to the whole album. You're going to get to hear this song. Because that was the most intricate, musically diverse song on that album.
I mean, and that's really the key point there. I think that the next generation is going to possibly miss out on. You know, you and I and people my age and your age and, you know, you're older than you, we grew up in a time where albums were albums. When you bought a new album, whether it was a cassette or in my case a CD, you came home, you put it in, you press play, and you let it go. Nowadays, it's you go on iTunes, you sample 30 seconds to a minute of every track, and then decide, I'm going to buy track 3, 7, and 9, and the hell with the rest of them.
Yeah. And I'll tell you what, I mean, as a result, because who chooses what 30 seconds to a minute you get to listen to, first of all? You know,
good point.
If it's the band, hopefully they're picking the best 30 seconds to a minute of that song. But, you know, there's plenty of albums. I've gone back, you know, on iTunes, I'll go back and look at old music, 60s, 70s, you know, bands like Cactus and so forth. And I'll sample, you know, that 30 to 60 seconds, and fuck, I can't tell one song from another sometimes, depending on the band. Cactus is a good example, you know, where I go like, God, I don't know if I want this or not. You know, I can't tell. Whereas in the old days, I would walk into a record store. I'll still go to a record store. Jim and I went record shopping the other night, actually, on my birthday. But I'll walk into a record store back then, and I would flip through, and I knew every record, whether it was an album I was going to buy or not, whether it was Whitney Houston, which I'm just going to breeze past. But I would look at every single record, because if I saw a cover that caught my eye, I'd pick it up, I'd look at the back, and I'd see, you know, who is the distributor? Is it Metal Blade Records? If it's Metal Blade, well, then I'm probably going to buy this thing. You know, that's how we found Metal Church back in the day. Where you look at a thing, it says metal, it's got a guitar on the front cover, you know, and then on the back, the company was Metal Blade, and you went, they're the same guys that do Armored Saint and all this kind of, I'm getting it. You know, Grim Reaper, you know.
Yeah, I mean, it's all, I mean, I still do it too. I tell everyone each week here on my show to go out and buy music, and when I say buy music, go to a store, go to, I'm still lucky there's still an FYE that I can actually go to here in the New York area. Yeah. And, I mean, I'll go in there, and like you said, I'll have certain albums on my mind that I want to buy. And then I'll go in there, and I'll see something and go, holy shit, I forgot about that. I mean, I was in FYE over the summer. I really didn't have anything in particular in mind, and I'm looking through, and I find Judas Priest, Sad Wings of Destiny, and I almost thought,
oh, man.
You know, yeah, exactly. That was exactly the feeling I had. I literally almost fell out of my wheelchair going, oh my God, the first Priest album. I mean, I don't...
And it's the second. It's the second.
Second, right, I'm sorry, the second.
Yeah. But that's Victim of Changes, man. That's the first, like, real Priest song where you go, holy shit.
Yeah.
You know, that's... Fuck, there's good songs on that album, man. That's such a good album.
You know, and I mean, I saw that and my jaw hit the floor, and I'm like, I grabbed it and ran out of the store like a thief because it was like the only one there.
Yeah, and now they're starting to go back. What I really love at the record stores, at the vinyl stores, is now they're starting to they're very expensive. You know, they're like $20, but they're starting to press the heavier albums again, the thicker vinyl. So it's not that floppy, cheap shit that they started doing in the early '90s, late '80s that they've done all the way since. Now they're going back to that, you know, what do they call it, 24 gram or something, like really heavy vinyl. And I just went the other day with Jim, like I said, on my birthday was back on the 18th. And I said, Jim was like, what do you want for your birthday? And I was like, buy me a record, because I know he listens to records too.
Yeah.
And he goes, all right, we'll go to the record store after work. And I said, great. So we went to the record store, and he was picking out, you know, Jim's a big Beatles fan, so he got like the new BBC release. They just released a second volume of BBC songs for the Beatles.
Oh yeah, live BBC too.
Yeah, exactly, live at BBC too. So he got that, and I always go straight to Iron Maiden, Metallica, Megadeth, Priest. You know, I go to the old school hard stuff, the Motorhead, all that kind of stuff, to see, you know, is there anything there that's like a collector's? You know, if there's something that's a collector's album, I might want to grab that, you know. And in Maiden, they just released, I'm sure this isn't a surprise, but this last year, they released all their vinyl, all their, you know, studio albums on picture disc on that 28 gram or whatever it is. They're really heavy. So I got Killers.
Nice.
On the picture disc, which was super cool, because it's got the Purgatory painting. You know, he did all those different paintings.
Yeah.
The Purgatory painting on one side, and then the other side is it's the girl sitting at the mirror, and Eddie's behind her. I can't remember what that one is, if that's Killers or what. But anyway,
that might be Number of the Beast.
No, but it's the picture itself is one of the songs, you know, and it's a girl sitting at a mirror, and Eddie's behind her, like he's sneaking up on her. I can't remember what song that is supposed to represent. Like the double face is Purgatory one, but anyway.
Yeah, I'm looking at the lineup now. Like maybe it's Another Life or Murders in the Room Log. Could be one of those.
Yeah, it could be Rumor, come to think of it.
I mean, I do the same thing. I go for the fancy stuff. Whenever an album comes out, if it's a special deluxe edition with a bonus DVD or an extra track, that's where I run.
Yeah.
Because you never get those again. You know, those are stuff that they put out, and then years later, everyone's going, oh, I want that. And you're going, well, where were you when it came out?
Yeah, exactly. You know, and back in the old days, man, I never bought any of that stuff because I couldn't afford it. You know, and now as an adult, I probably shouldn't be buying that kind of stuff just based on having kids and needing to pay for the kids and all that. But like, I look at it and I think, man, you know what? I want this, and I want this more than I want, you know, just to have, because I have the album. And I have it on iTunes as well, because I originally had it on cassette, you know. But I want the special print.
Oh, yeah, because, you know, what it is I've said this to several people, and, you know, people look at me funny at first, and then they realize everything in the rock and metal world, people have memories to songs or to albums that always connect with other listeners. You know, pop and rap and all of that. Don't get me wrong. Good tunes are good tunes. But there's just something about the rock and metal world that the little things will bring people together.
Yeah.
And stuff like that.
I always felt like that, because concerts were always an event, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I would go to a concert in high school, and I would ride with my three best friends. And we'd get there, and we'd see that other group of guys from our high school that were there together. And at that moment, we were all good friends at the show, even though we weren't maybe friends in the hallways at school because we didn't have anything in common other than music. But that was enough. For that night, we hung out together, you know. And some of my best friends in adulthood have been guys that I found out they were metalheads. And then I'm like, awesome. And we get talking about music, and the next thing you know, we're friends for 15 years.
Yeah, I mean, that's how it goes. I mean, it just unites so many people. And the other thing, too, is you don't find people, we'll argue over what album was better or what era of a band was better, but we won't sit there and go, well, you know what, fuck you. You don't like this band. I don't want to know you. We don't do that, you know.
Yeah, it's like friends of mine that I had in college that were like REM and U2 fans. They would always look at me like I was crazy, like, you don't listen to REM? I was like, no, I don't listen to REM. You don't listen to Accept? You know, like, come on.
Well, I always liked shit in college for being a Kiss fan. And I still get shit for that today.
I'm still a Kiss fan. There's parts of me that's slightly embarrassed by it because of what Gene Simmons has turned into, you know, with all the publicity and the reality shows and so forth. But
yeah. No, I mean, I'm a Kiss fan. I've been a Kiss fan since '96, and you know, my logic is on it is that I just hope that when Gene and Paul get to a point where they realize they can't do it anymore, they don't do Kiss as a tribute band to itself by putting two other guys in their makeup just to keep the name of the band going. That's my only gripe.
I gotta say, that was my gripe. Was when that happened, I went, it was one thing to have Vinnie Vincent join the band and wear an Ankh, you know, or to have Eric Carr join the band and wear Fox makeup. And you go, all right, whatever, you know, fine, that's, you know, big deal. But then when you turn around and you put, who is it, Tommy Kramer?
Tommy Sayer.
From Black and Blue?
Yeah, Tommy Sayer.
Yeah, from Black and Blue. Playing Ace's licks, fine, but you put him in Ace's makeup, I got a problem with that. You know, I got a big problem with that. And especially since Ace is alive and well. You know, it's not like Ace is dead. You know, Ace is alive. Ace and Peter, I guess, just had a little reunion on Eddie Trunk's, some show Eddie Trunk was doing in town there.
Yeah, I was at that show. That was...
oh, you went to that?
I went to that, man. It was amazing, dude. My chin hit the floor, not only to see Ace there, and I was standing behind where Eddie Trunk's family was. So when all the names came in, they were walking in front past me and my friends, and one of my friend Woody elbows me, and he's like, dude, it's Peter, Chris, and Ace Frehley. And I just fell. I was like, no way. And then when they took the stage with the guys of Anthrax and started doing some of the old Kiss songs, and they didn't skip a beat. Ace and Peter are amazing, and there's a lot of talk out there that, you know, Ace isn't sober, he's drunk. Ace is as straight as an arrow nowadays. So is Peter. They are both still amazing musicians. And, I mean, people need to just wake up and realize that they're still out there doing their thing.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing is the press that you always get from the Paul and Gene side of things is, well, those guys didn't want to be musicians anymore, or Ace is drinking and drugging just got in the way too much. We couldn't have him around anymore. It's like, no, you did what Don Henley and Glenn Frey did, which was you said, we're the band and you guys are the support. And so you're going to get less money. And if you don't like that, then you don't get to come. You know, listen, Ace wrote Cold Gin, man. Ace wrote that song.
For sure.
You know, that's Ace's song. You know, man, I mean, I always look at Peter was always my favorite. I don't know why. I think vocally I just liked his voice the best. And when he left the band, obviously he left when they were making terrible albums, back in the 80s. So it's okay that you left after, you know, Music from the Elder. Not a big deal. But when they came back and they got back together, I saw them for Psycho Circus, and the rumor was that's not Peter. Now, if that wasn't Peter on Psycho Circus when I saw him live, I don't know who the fuck it was, because it sure as hell looked like Peter and it sure as hell sounded like Peter. Now, I never saw them again after that, because after that was when they started having all the fallings out. But the first time that I saw them was in 1978. I was 8 years old. I saw them at the Hollywood Sportatorium in Hollywood, Florida. And they had a band called Nantucket opening for them. And, dude, they were fucking phenomenal. That was the disco era, so they were playing I Was Made for Loving You and Charisma. And, but Ace played 2000 Man and Back in the New York Groove, because that was also the solo album that came out that year. And it was all puffy, furry costumes, and Ace had the mirror costume instead of like the spaceman. It was like the mirrored spaceman. Phenomenal concert. It was my very first concert, obviously. Fantastic. I should have stopped then, because I saw him do a lot of great shows after that. I saw Animalize, I saw Asylum, and I saw Crazy Nights, and I saw Hot in the Shade. And then I saw Psycho Circus. Nothing touched that very first concert, because they were together as a group back then. And everybody had their songs. Peter did Black Diamond, and Beth, obviously. Ace did 2000 Man, as I said, Shock Me, and Back in the New York Groove. That was the time, you know. Phenomenal show. Unbelievable. It's heartbreaking that they can't get that together again and do it just for the music, you know.
Well, I've always said that my first Kiss show was 98, was the Psycho Circus tour. That was my first one, and I remember the rumor I heard here in New York was that it wasn't really Ace up there doing it. That, in all actuality, the rumor is that it was actually Tommy that was up there that night, not Ace. And I'm like, yeah, okay, I know Ace's licks when I hear it. And I saw them a year ago with Motley Crue when they did the tour, and it was nice to see him again. I would go see it again, but more on that novelty kind of thing, that nostalgia kind of vibe, because, you know, nothing against Eric or Tommy. They're both great musicians. But it just isn't the same. And I've always said that if Kiss is going to go out, the right thing to do is put all the bullshit aside, go out, do one final real tour of Gene, Paul, Peter, and Ace, and after that, that's it, no more.
Yeah, you can only hope. And two, I would add to that, I would love to see them only do that first 5 albums. You know, the Kiss, Hotter Than Hell, Dressed to Kill, Destroyer, and Love Gun. Well, I guess Rock and Roll Over, sorry. So the first 6 albums, you know. Just do those 6 albums. If you want, you can throw something in off of the fourth side of Alive 2, because there were some cool songs on there, you know. But I just feel like it would be so cool. Or even if they did one of these play the whole album thing. If they just went out and played all of Destroyer, everybody gets a killer song.
Oh, for sure.
And there's songs that they would never play live, you know, but it would be really great to see something like that. They could do 2 albums, because their albums were short. You know, like if they did Destroyer and Love Gun, or Dressed to Kill and Destroyer.
Yeah, I mean, those would be perfect to do together. I mean, there's so many great tracks on those. I mean, let's be honest, when was the last time anyone heard Great Expectations or Flaming Youth, you know, live?
Flaming Youth, dude. Yeah, Flaming Youth. We were shooting, this is funny, the other night we were shooting legit out on the beach, and it was, I was sitting with my dad, John Ratzenberger, and Jim, and there was a little shop right there on the beach that was playing music, and they were cranking it. It was so loud we had to hold production, and they played I Was Made for Loving You, and then they played Detroit Rock City, and they played it right up to the point where Flaming Youth starts, and right as it went, that first, like, held long note for Flaming Youth, and then they cut it off and they went to Rock and Roll All Night, and I was like, Fuck, man.
Oh.
You had the opportunity to do one of the greatest slides into a second song, an underappreciated song. Such a great moment, man.
Oh, man. I mean, that... Oh, well, yeah, I mean, really. It's actually, I'm looking at the album now, it actually goes from Detroit Rock City to King of the Nighttime World, and you're right.
King of the Nighttime World, that was the one. It's so hard living at home.
I mean...
That's the one, yeah, King of the Nighttime World.
It's such a perfect slide from one into the other, you're right. I mean, it's one of those things where you can't help but wonder, did they do it on purpose, or did it just...
I just don't think they were Kiss fans. I think they just had some pop rock thing playing, some pop rock mix. I don't think they were Kiss fans, or else they would definitely have gone into King of the Nighttime World. Because it was the version of Detroit Rock City with the car crash and the radio and all that. So it would have gone right into King of the Nighttime World. And they blew it, man. They blew it.
Oh, that's horrible, man. Oh, man. Well, I don't want to keep you much longer. You got stuff to do. I want to thank you for joining me here inside the Asylum. And everyone keep an eye out in February for Legit Season 2 on FXX. That's why it's a double X now for Legit. Dan, thank you for joining me. And what should I play, man? I always have my guests pick a song for after the interview. What should we go into?
Motorhead.
I love Motorhead. Anything particular?
If you got the new album, play that Queen of the Damned.
I do have
the new album. If you don't have the new album, then play anything.
Oh, do I have the new album? I love the new album. I just got to bring it up. Bear with me 1 second. I want to make sure I get the right track. Motorhead, Queen of the Damned, right now, coming up here inside the Asylum. Stay tuned. More to come on the 4-year anniversary.